Understanding God's law, from Eden to fulfillment in Jesus. Is the law still valid? Are the 10 Commandments on the stone tablets given to Moses no longer relevant? The answer is important, because it concerns how we understand our relationship with God. Before the fall, God's law was not written on tablets of stone or papyrus. His principles, love, truth, and justice, were written in the hearts of his creatures. Humans understood these laws through a direct relationship with God. But sin corrupted the human heart. God's principles began to blur, and people needed more concrete reminders. This is where God introduced institutions such as sacrifices, the temple, and eventually the written law to the Israelites, which consisted of moral law such as the 10 Commandments, civil law, and ritual and ceremonial law. This written law was a special covenant between God and the nation of Israel, to guide them to be a light to other nations. As quoted from the Bible in Deuteronomy 5 verses 1 to 3, Moses called all the people of Israel together, and said to them, "Listen, O people of Israel, to the decrees and regulations that I am speaking in your ears today, so that you learn them and do them faithfully. The Lord, our God, made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our ancestors, but with us, we who are here now, all of us who are still alive." However, it is important to understand that the law in its written form was a temporary instrument addressed to the nation of Israel. Ellen G. White explains, "These laws, as formulated in human language, can convey only a limited understanding of God's perfect will and character." So is the law no longer valid? No. What is no longer valid are the specific covenants written on stone tablets and papyri, because they were temporary. But the content of the law, God's principles and values, are still valid, even deeper and broader. Jesus did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. He emphasized that the law is not just about physical actions, but also about the heart and mind. For example, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Written in Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 and 28, Jesus shows that the principle behind the law goes far beyond what is written. When Jesus died on the cross, he fulfilled the written law. However, God's eternal principles remain. As written in the Bible, "I will put my law in their hearts and write it in their minds." Jeremiah 31 verse 33. That is, we now live in a context like Eden, where God's law is no longer written on stone tablets, but in our hearts, with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. God's law remains relevant. The principles of love, truth, and justice guide our lives. The 10 Commandments are an expression of these values, but we are called to understand them more deeply, not just to obey the commandments, but to live them in our hearts and minds. God calls us to live according to his principles, not just in actions, but in sincere love from the heart. God's law is the light that guides us back to his image. Share this video, and let's continue to learn how to live in his love and truth.